Hello boys and girls, and welcome back to the YellowBusGuy Garage. Today we're going to do an oil change, and I understand there's a lot of people out there that still take their bikes to the shop for oil changes, and I'm going to show you that it's a super simple thing to do, and with a couple simple cheap items and some simple hand tools you can do it yourself. Now I'm doing it on my 78 KZ. It's going to be a little bit different. More modern bikes have spin-on canisters like a car has. This one uses a cartridge filter. I'm going to show you how that's done. It's a little messy, but it's not difficult, and there's no reason why you couldn't do this at home. And check your manual for specifications. Use the oil that they specify. This one calls for 10W40, and I'm using this Valvoline 10W40, and this is an ATV. Oh, anyway, it's a motorcycle specific oil, and it lacks additives that may affect a wet clutch, which most motorcycles these days have a wet clutch, which means the engine oil and the transmission shares the same oil. And some oils have additives in them that can cause clutch plates to slip. Although the EPA has eliminated one of the main chemicals because it does something to emission controls where it won't allow it to work correctly. But anyway, I'm getting off track. So first step, buy your oil. You need a catch can, something to put on your floor. Everybody needs a Sky Dancer's towel to lay on. So if you don't like laying on the pavement, like I said, you need a catch can, sockets, a ratchet, oil, and a filter, and a little bit of free time. So the first thing you do is you ride around a little bit, go around the block a few times, and warm it up. You know, it doesn't need to be running temperature, but warm it up. And what this does is any suspended crap in the oil will be stirred up and held in suspension by the oil. So when you drain it out, the crud, invisible particles, and things like that will go out with it. First thing you want to do is take the filler cap off. So this way, when you go to drain, air can go in as oil goes out, so it'll drain more smoothly. The way I like to do it seems to be the neatest way to do it is I do filter first. And on this bike, this is the filter. You undo this center bolt, this whole thing spins off, and as you do so, oil is going to leak out from all around here. It's really messy. Wear gloves if you wish. That's another reason why you don't want to run your bike all the way to running temperature, because it will burn your hand. Just get it warm. As you can see, it's not hot. It's just warm to the touch, kind of like a cup of coffee. Well, first thing we're going to do is loosen this, spin this off, and when we come back, I'll show you the assembly. All right, took a 17 millimeter socket, put it on this and loosened it. So you can see the whole assembly just unscrews. And I unscrewed it partially and let it sit a while, and the majority of the oil is drained out now. But like I said, this part's messy. And if you want, you can wear some nitrile gloves. All right, things I do for you guys. As you can see, you have the bottom plate, which has an O-ring in it. There's this tray that the filter sits in, the filter itself, and then this hollow bolt. That's what screws up into the motor. What it does is it pumps oil down through this pipe here, filters, and comes out of the filter and then back up into the motor. And that's how it works. Now you got to pay attention to the order of assembly on these cartridge filters. You see the filters. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this one-handed. See, the filter just slides down over top of that shaft. There's a spring, and then you have this tray. I just clean everything up. The kit, I got a K&N here, and it comes with new O-rings. You have an O-ring for the base and a little O-ring that goes on this threaded portion here. When you push it out, you'll see an O-ring in the base of it. Clean everything up, replace your O-rings, and make sure you put a thin coat of oil on O-rings. You always, always, always install O-rings wet. Reassemble in exactly the same order. Pay attention to how this is put together. Tray, spring, and filter. It's not the same on every bike. So if you don't have a manual, get one, or pay attention to how it comes out of the bike. And then in the reverse order, we'll reinstall. Catch y'all in a minute. All right, wiped up majority of the oil off of this, cleaned it up, replaced the O-rings. There's the old ones. Put a little bit of oil on the grommet here, This is going to be installed either way, it doesn't matter. Just take care that you don't push that top grommet out of the top of the filter. Now back on the machine, the mating surface under here that the O-ring presses against, I want to take a rag, wipe it clean. Just make sure you don't have any debris or anything on it, otherwise it won't seal correctly. Take your assembled filter unit, slide it up in there. And of course, since I'm filming this, it's being difficult. Spin it back into place. Take your 17 millimeter, tighten it back up. Now, since this is an O-ring seal, it does not require a huge amount of torque. So what you want, kind of like an oil filter, a spin-on oil filter in a car. You want to snug it down. You feel the fastener bottom, and then a little more. That's all it takes. That's maybe 10 pounds of torque. I'm sure there's a specification. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. You just have to use a little common sense here. And now, the main drain plug on this particular machine is here. As you can see, it didn't take much. These, generally speaking, have wonderful machine surfaces here and a washer. Does not take, there's no reason to put a ton of torque on anything like this. And then we'll let it go. And then what I typically will do is knock the old filter into there so it's getting soaked again. The only thing that I think turns most people off is it's messy. You get oil on your hands, and but take some precautions and take your time, and try not to do everything one-handed with a camera in your hand. It goes a lot more smoothly. But anyway, I'll let this drain. It'll take, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. And this isn't rocket science. It's not so critical that you get every last molecule of the old oil out. Drain it out till you get to a slow drip. You clean this surface off here. Check the surface and the washer on here, on your plug. Reassemble. And then we'll be ready to put the oil back in. We'll be right back with you. Okay, so we've changed our filter. We've drained out all the old oil, replaced the drain plug, and we did not tighten the shit out of it because all it does is hold oil in. Snug it down till it stops. Another eighth turn, maybe. That's all you need. Don't kill it. Okay, it's threaded into aluminum. It's not able to take a whole lot of torque. Just snug it down. It's good. All it is a cap. It's not really holding anything in place. I've run across, threads pulled out of the bottom, out of the engine case. Oil filters, spin-on oil filters on there so tight that you mangle the thing getting it off the bike. It's ridiculous. Just snug it down. Like in a car, they tell you to spin down the oil filter till it bottoms in another, an eighth turn or maybe a quarter turn or something like that. That's all it takes, by hand, not even using a tool. So on this, it's pretty much the same thing on the filter. Just snug it down till it bottoms. Another little bit more, make it snug, you're good. Okay, now take a rag, clean up underneath there, wipe up all the oil that's spilled and got on, in places it wasn't supposed to be, clean it up nice. And now we go on to the fun part. get yourself a YellowBusGuy approved filter. And what you'll do, like on this bike in particular, you have a sight glass down here. And add oil until it's just below the top line on this particular machine. I know all machines now don't have sight glasses, but you have a top line and a bottom line. And on this one, I fill it up until it's just to the below the top line. Stop, put the oil fill cap back on it, start it up, let it run a minute. Don't rev it, just start it, let it run. Your oil light will come on briefly because the oil pump is priming and picking up oil. Lasts a second maybe or two. It'll go out. It'll fill up the chamber where your oil filter is. It'll pump through the motor, pump out the air, shut it off, let it sit for several minutes, and come back and look. And it'll be down. Chances are it'll be down to the lower line or below. Top it up the rest of the way. Stop below the bottom line. Don't go all the way to the top. It's not necessary. The operating range is between. Doesn't have to be to the very top. Stop just below the bottom line or the top line. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a hash mark here and a mark here. Your oil needs to be between these two. Between these two is a safe operating range. Won't hurt anything if you're a little bit below. Because since the engine's cold and the oil's cold, if you fill it all the way up and then you ride it, things expand. Now you've got too much. And then you wind up with foaming in the crankcase and things like that. You don't want that. Like I said, it's simple, and it's these machines are designed to have some user error built in, so it's not going to hurt it if you're a little below the full line. You'll be fine. It's really just the operating range and not full and empty. Anyway, fill it up with your favorite flavor of oil. I recommend you go with the manufacturer recommendations because the Japanese dudes that designed this thing knows a lot more about it than I do. So I'm just going to go with 10W40 and a mechanic buddy of mine. He's an excellent mechanic. He's a Harley mechanic, a BMW mechanic. He says that air-cooled engines should run on conventional oil because conventional oil carries heat away better than synthetic. I'll take him at his word, so I put synthetic or conventional in this, and I run synthetic in that because it's liquid cooled. This is air cooled. And so far it hadn't let me down. I've had this bike 28 years and it's been fine. I did re-ring it, did some overhauling, but other than that, the bottom end is healthy, good oil pressure. But anyway, it's a simple thing to do. Save yourself some money and you'll feel good about it. Pat yourself on the back, and catch y'all later. Be safe, like, subscribe, hit me up with some questions, and talk to you guys later.